That was my most recent video, and it was wonderful. It was about trying to survive the night in a FNaF fashion, similar to the FNaF movie, but under the theme of my usual videos, arts and crafts. I wanted to make this video of creating a Freddy figure for quite a while, but I never got to it because I wanted to go all out on it. I loved FNaF for quite a while. I was a FNaF nerd, and this video I believed would be my peak FNaF content. It had to be good, so I thought of the idea of turning it into a film filled with the FNaF essence. Unlike any other crafting video, mine had to have horror, suspense, animatronics, and mystery. Of course, this is one hell of an idea to pull off, especially being a freshman in college. So, how did I bring FNaF to real life with a budget of -$20 and just a one-man team? Let's find out. The original idea was to make a figure making video like this one I made a while back. But would that be cool enough? This comforting and peaceful crafting vibe just doesn't mesh well with FNaF. Plus, as a filmmaker, I wanted to do better. I wanted to work on a project I'd be proud of even 10 years from today. In order to accomplish the idea mentioned before, I would need 3 things: a set, a lot of time, and an animatronic. I originally planned this video 2 years ago, but only got to it in my freshman year at college. And for a normal person, you would think this would be a recipe for disaster. I would have no time because college classes must be pretty hard. I would have no set because I live in a dorm and not a house anymore. And I have no resources because I live in a dorm and I literally have nothing. Luckily, I am a very smart and stubborn man. You can't stop me. The first requirement was hard because all I had was a small dorm room at UC Santa Barbara, and this dorm room doesn't really scream FNaF. But luckily, as I was walking around, I spotted this, the public lounge. It was a kitchen and living room within my dorm, and it wasn't perfect, but it was my best bet at a set for FNaF. It did have the FNaF theme of grayish walls and windows like the first game had. Of course, the major issue here is that this was a public space, and filming here was probably not something normal. Unlike the FNaF movie, I don't have a budget to make accurate life-sized animatronics for my films. And plus, if the movie, working with Scott Cawthon, couldn't even make Bonnie purple, then how could I make a perfect animatronic? Instead, I resorted to CGI. Just like in the games, the animatronics are just 3D renders using technology. Doing this was going to be hard because I've never done this in my life. But I do like forcing myself to learn new things and suffer. What the oh shit! Lastly was time. I entered college for the first time in the fall of 2023. Could I have the time to work on this enormous project? Well, I've been making videos on YouTube as a side hobby for 8 years, and while college was a bit of a hustle, being new and scary, I was more afraid of regret. If I didn't work on this video, what would I miss out on? If I ever had any chance to make a mark on this world, maybe this was it. So I went through with it. The odds are certainly against me, but I am finishing this video.
What is Andrew doing? And opening his door to his door.
Oh shit. I started filming this video 1 month into college. This was so I could get a grasp of the rules of the dorm, how my roommates were, and to analyze the set. One day I decided to test the authority of the lounge and left my whole PC setup in there. Would the cleaning staff care? Yes. Yes, they would.
Administrators confiscated. Well, they didn't confiscate. They collected all my items that I left in there.
The lounge was a tough place to film in because people used it regularly to cook, wash dishes, and hang out.
This is a Santa Cruz lounge at like 10 p.m. Sir. Who are you?
The cleaning staff also cleaned it often and didn't like if you did dumb stuff like, well, I don't know, turning it into a messy film set. However, by studying my environment, I found the time I could do it. Obviously, no one would care or even be around at the lounge at 12 to 6 a.m. to interrupt my filming, so it was possible. But that meant I couldn't sleep. I was essentially being as accurate to the game as possible, doing the night shift. But since I actually wanted to be healthy and happy, I wasn't about to risk my whole sleep schedule for this video. Maybe once a week, if I mustered up my motivation, I would lug all my junk to the lounge at around 10 p.m., dress up in my outfit, and mentally prepare myself for the long-ass night of filming. It wasn't too much. Out of the 18 minutes in the video, there's only about 10 minutes of live actual footage on set, but that still took at least 10 sleepless nights to complete. The plan for the video was to have a balance of making the figure and that process with a background plotline about Freddy trying to kill me. So I made a set of me in a FNaF 1 style office and had me make the figure in there. And yes, I had to bring my whole PC, my roommate's fan, and a chair. It was hell. I will never forget that one night where some random kids that weren't from my dorm gambled in the lounge till 3 a.m. and ruined my filming for 3 goddamn hours.
Why? Just why? Why are you up at 3 a.m.? Like, okay, I'm up, but like, fuck.
Filming most of the scenes were easy because it was just me talking or doing the painting.
What?
You had to make your own props and stuff?
In actuality, all the audio in the video was recorded beforehand in this microphone. This is because the camera moves around way too much in order to get different shots. This one is even through the window, so the audio had to be artificial or it would sound very bad. This helped a lot because I could film some scenes even when people were partying in the lounge. Ironically, every other scene that wasn't talking or painting was extremely difficult. I wanted the FNaF feel, and that meant deadly animatronics trying to kill you. Adding Freddy to real life was done slowly in the video to, number 1, build suspense, and number 2, so I could slowly get better at rendering him. For this job, I used Blender, a free 3D modeling software, which is also the same software used to model the figure in the video. I knew the basics of how to use it, but I never rendered realistic objects and placed them into scenes before. The camera scenes were the easiest and were like my practice round. I went to places around my dorm and took images where a security camera would be. Then I used Photoshop to make them more grimy and alter the colors to seem more creepy. Lastly, I'd add some fake wires, posters, and streamers to help sell the theme that it was FNaF. In fact, all the posters in the film were fake. I had a negative $20 budget. The only poster that was real was this one. It was gifted to me by a friend, but unfortunately, the cleaning ladies threw it away when I left it in there by accident. After that, I thoroughly cleaned my set every single night. Adding Freddy was the last step. For this, I'd put the image into Blender and try to line it up with the scene. Then, using the same Freddy model for the figure in the video, I'd place lights and render the model as accurately to the surroundings in the image as I could. I learned to use the darkness to make the renders look more realistic. Darkness is one of the best ways to hide imperfection. It's probably why the first game looked so good and why the second game looked kind of less realistic. Filters and static were added last in Premiere, which finalized the look. The results were pretty damn cool. Just imagine my floor mates' reactions when they saw me working on this shit. Then I would play these videos on my laptop to emulate the camera tablet. This also meant that I had to time my acting to a video on the laptop.
What? What's going on?
The hardest scenes, of course, were the ones where I had to add a CGI Freddy Fazbear into the video itself, which I've actually rarely seen. I mean, in most FNaF content, they go with two options. They either make a real costume, like they did in the FNaF movie, or they use complete CGI, like they do in the fan-animated VHS tapes. But why not combine them and use real life with CGI? For stationary scenes like this one, it's as easy as the security camera method. I just rendered an image of the animatronic and placed it in the scene. This is probably my favorite scene because of how ominous it is, and the lighting is just so good. The hardest scene had to be this one where Freddy is right up and center and the camera is moving. For this, I had to track the footage to make sure the render followed the scene, but an ordinary image wouldn't look real here because it didn't have any perspective. Instead, I tracked the footage in Blender to create a 3D track. Then I placed a 3D model of Freddy into the scene instead and rendered that, making it look much more realistic. Next was compositing Freddy into the scenes. A detail you may not have noticed was the glass. I had to add a fake reflection to make it look like Freddy was actually behind the window, and these white squares, which were also added. It was so much work for such a short scene, but maybe it was worth it. Now let's talk about the power outage scenes. The lounge has a light switch, but it doesn't actually turn off all the lights. In fact, I couldn't even turn off the hallway lights if I wanted to. Those were faked by tracking a black image over it, which is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Even when all the lights were off, it was still pretty bright in the kitchen. Luckily, cameras like these are really good at controlling the light that comes in. Fun fact, all the light flickering in the video was done with this crazy technique. The other difficult scene is the one where Freddy enters the office. Of course, it isn't too different from the other scenes. Just track the footage and place Freddy in it. However, the darkness of the scene made it impossible to track. Instead, the scene is divided into two shots. The first half where I was just filming in darkness, and then it cuts to this shot, which is actually just a still shot of me shining a flashlight around. The idea was to add Freddy into this still shot so I didn't have to track it, and then adding the fake camera motion to match the previous scene. The darkness and quick panicking movement would hide the lack of perspective and the cut. The only complicated part was matching the flashlight to Freddy in Blender. By animating the flashlight and then removing Freddy's pupils, it made a pretty amazing scene. When it came to edit the video, I made sure to add bits of horror and mystery here and there to slowly build up to a climax. I wanted to surprise the viewer, because unlike the FNaF movie where you already knew this guy was going to get attacked by animatronics, if you're going into this video, you would never expect me to get attacked by animatronics, especially not in a low-budget crafting video. So I wanted to master the FNaF feel. Original sound effects were used, from the phone to the song playing during the montage part was the Toreador March or Freddy's Power Outage theme. This was so I could speed through the painting process in the video, and it also made the video generally more entertaining. I worked on this video from October to December. I missed my Halloween deadline, but I forced myself to finish it before winter break. In the end, the video was a success. Although the views don't match YouTube giants like these guys, I did manage to make the best FNaF figure and probably one of the best FNaF videos on the internet. The question that now arises is, am I crazy? Maybe. Is it crazy to carry a landline to college for a video about an animatronic bear? to fall over my chair 3 times to get a good shot for a film, or to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning just to get an accurate sunrise shot. Is it crazy to do the unimaginable? I'm sure a lot of people snickered and were weirded out when they entered the lounge to fill up their Britas, only to see some guy talking to himself.
How's it going, guys?
And my parents were not happy with my grades that season.
Do you know how funny it is to dress up like a security guard every other day and then film into hours into the night, and then people watch you and they just think they're like, what is that guy up to?
But I think it was worth it. While many people who saw me thought I was weird or insane, there were also many people who were curious as to what I was up to, and I met so many friends putting myself out there. Those nights filming and spending time with others in the lounge will always be ingrained in my mind. That sunrise was beautiful, those nights were hilarious,
Or bitch and stitch on me.
and this video was definitely wonderful.
Oh my god, bro. Ain't no way.
Innovation.
Oh my god.
I'll leave you the burnt eye.
And we cut out on people.
I'm gonna try to cut out its spine, bro. Come on. This is the lighting setup of a lifetime. We got this lamp right here. I mean, it works pretty well, honestly.
As always, thank you all for watching, and be sure to make some more fun.